What's going on, guys? Welcome to this episode of Home Built Workshop. Today we got a car repair video. Is your vehicle idling? Maybe a little rough, maybe it's erratic, maybe it's stalling when you put it in gear or come to a stop. It's possible that it could be this little dude right here. This is an idle air control solenoid, and we're going to change it on a 2005 Ford Escape. Stick around. Really quick, really simple to do. The same process is going to apply to almost all vehicles that have this type of valve. Check it out. Have you noticed that your vehicle's idle is all over the place? Maybe it's idling high, won't just come down to where it should be. Maybe it's idling too low and barely stays running. Maybe it dies when you put it into gear. Maybe when you come to a stop at a stop sign or something, the vehicle will just drop right down, almost feel like it's gonna die. Those are some of the symptoms that I'm experiencing in one of our vehicles. We are working on a 2005 Ford Escape with the 3-liter V6. I have felt the idle almost die when you come to a stop from time to time, and also I've had it die on me when you put it in gear. Instead of just going into gear, the idle just drops all the way down and just shuts off. So we can't have that. We got to get that fixed. There's a couple other things that I checked before going straight to getting this part. The first one to check for would be vacuum leaks. Make sure hoses are tight. Make sure no vacuum hoses are unplugged or cracked or loose. If you find anything that's damaged or maybe even disconnected, reconnect it, replace any busted, cracked, dried out vacuum lines first. That could cause you a problem. You also might consider cleaning your throttle body. I've got a video on that for a different vehicle. I'm going to put a link up here. You guys can go check that out. Cleaning a throttle body is not hard. Don't be afraid to jump in there and do it. I know you guys can get it done if you feel like that's what you need to do. Now, if you decide that you want to try cleaning it before replacing the valve, that's definitely a little bit more economical option. Just get yourself some intake or throttle body cleaner. Make sure when you spray this out, keep the motor facing up. You don't want to spray it this way and then all of that gunk and grime kind of runs down into the little solenoid here. So with it facing up, spray all that gunk in there. Get in there with a little brush. We're not going to do that. We're just going to replace this thing, but it is an option almost identical to going in and cleaning a throttle body. Now, I did want to show you really quick one of the reasons that I decided to replace my valve instead of cleaning it, and that's because this little spot on the end to me almost looks like it's gotten hot, maybe melted a little bit. I'm not quite sure. It just didn't look right to me, and I didn't feel comfortable reusing it. And if we look down inside the valve, you can see where there's a whole lot of carbon and stuff down in there. That's the stuff you're going to want to get down in there with your intake, throttle body cleaner, and a soft brush. Scrub all that junk out of there. You want to get it nice and clean, at least as clean as you can. Once you've determined that you want to replace your valve, make sure you take some extra time, do a little bit of shopping. Don't just call your auto parts store and get whatever they have on the shelf. Now, that may be the best price, but based on my personal experience for getting this exact valve, I found over a $100 difference in shopping around. $100. That's crazy for the exact same part number and manufacturer. So just take a few extra minutes, do your shopping, compare prices, and try to get yourself the best deal. Now, if this is a dire emergency and you've got to have whatever one is at the local auto parts store, by all means, do what you need to do. But if you have time to wait and you can do your shopping around, definitely look for a deal. I know you can find them. Now, I have heard that this is somewhat of a common problem on Ford vehicles. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but this is definitely a Ford vehicle. So I'm going to replace it with Ford parts. I've got the gasket here. This is a Motorcraft part number CG765, and I'm also using the Motorcraft idle air control valve. This is a CX1899. For this particular vehicle, make sure you get the right one for yours, whatever you're working on. Enough of this yapping. Let's get out there and get this thing changed. Looking right under the hood, the part we're going to replace is right here. It's right on top, real easy to get to. There's just 2 bolts right here. Let's come in a little bit closer and get this thing replaced. First thing we're going to do is disconnect our electrical by pushing down this little tab right here and unplugging your connector. Then we just need to grab an 8mm socket and loosen up these 2 bolts. If you're working on a different vehicle, it may not be an 8mm, just use the correct size for your vehicle. I love these little fingertip extensions. There's our old valve. Does look kind of carboned up and crusty in there. We'll pull out the old gasket. I'm going to just use some good degreaser to clean off the surface where we're going to mount the new valve. I want to make sure it's nice and clean and we get a good seal. Now I can install the new replacement gasket. Now this vehicle takes this type of a silicone type gasket. Your vehicle may take more of a paper style, but whatever it is, now's the time to install it. Now we can take our new valve, and really all we need to do, put that guy in place, install our bolts, and you can probably see a couple of snowflakes flying into the camera there. It's cold out right now. Let's make our electrical connection, and we're done. Now, we're ready to fire this thing up, make sure we don't have any check engine lights, and see if we notice any improvement. Now, especially when it's cold, this vehicle goes into a high idle for a short time until the engine starts to warm up, then the idle drops down. So far, I haven't noticed any sort of dying or surging or any erratic idle speeds. I'm going to put it in gear a few times just to get some load on the engine, just to see if I can reproduce any sort of stalling or hesitation or misfire, anything like that. I don't have any sort of check engine light. So far it seems to be just fine. See, what'd I tell you guys? Really quick, a really simple fix, and for right now it seems like the problem is solved. Time will tell as we drive this vehicle more, but if you're experiencing any of those symptoms, high idling, low idling, rough idling, I almost got my tongue tied up there, stalling, anything like that, this is possibly a fix. Again, you could clean it, you can replace it, check for vacuum leaks, clean your throttle body. Hopefully that helps. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time. Those of you that know, this last week has been brutal because my back's been a mess. Right now I'm standing, but it hurts right now. But it's on the mend because I'm not all hunched over. I can actually sort of stand straight. Doesn't feel great, but I can stand up. And it's cold. It was like 0 degrees this morning. Great. This is going to be fun.